Welcome to the last Dokkan Fest banner before the 8-year anniversary. But is it worth your stones? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we are taking a look at the Hellfighter 17 and Android 17. This is the last Dokkan festival before the 8-year anniversary, and as such, we need to answer that age-old question. Should you summon? Now, in order to answer that question, we need to take a look at two things. First off, the unit itself. Is the unit good enough to carry the banner and justify a summon? Second, we take a look at the banner. What's on the banner, and is it worth your summon? And then finally, we take a look at what lies ahead. Now, being we are so close to the 8-year anniversary, that's going to be a pretty short list. So let's go ahead, let's hop in, let's take a look at the unit. So the unit starts off as a Hellfighter 17 and Android 17. They are joined forces, target Goku, category key 3, HP attack and defense 170, plus an additional attack and defense 30% for characters who belong on the Androids category. All in all, not a bad leader skill, right? The target Goku covers quite a bit of decent characters. You've got your Golden Friezas, you've got Int LR Cell, who's very powerful, you've got LR Cooler, Metal Cooler, you've got the AGL 17, you've got Piccolo Jr. A lot of good options here for taking down, big red zone bosses with some powerful allies, right? It's a pretty good leader skill, all things considered. Joined Forces also gives you access to a lot of other decent cards, but more specifically the tech androids, right? Since they aren't on target Goku, right? And that's going to be kind of one of the big staples of their team. All right, so moving on. Their super attack, they are raising attack infinitely and raising defense for 1 turn, causing immense damage. So the infinite attack raise is nice. That means, once transformed, they can end up putting up some real decent numbers. And the raising defense ends up being enough, especially if you manage to proc a bunch of their additionals to tank normals in most of the big fights. So let's take a look at their passive. Passive is key 2, attack defense 100%, plus an additional key 1 and attack defense 70% when all allies attacking in the same turn are extreme class. They also get an additional attack defense 70% when performing a super attack, and launches an additional attack that has a medium chance of becoming a super attack. They launch an additional attack when there is a super class enemy for 4 turns from the start of turn, chance of performing a critical hit and chance of evading enemy attack, including super attack 17% within the same turn with each attack performed. So all in all, a very, very good passive, right? If we actually had a decent super class enemy fight, these guys would be launching a bunch of supers, right? With the possibility, of 3 to 4 supers per turn, raising their attack with each one, which means that by turn 5, when you're ready to transform, they're going to be extremely, extremely powerful. Only problem is, in reality, no such event exists. Legendary Goku and Legendary Vegeta event, those, you deal way too much damage to be able to fully take advantage of the additionals that they're putting out. That said, even against like red zone bosses, I've had these guys tank normals in most of the fights, provided they get 1 or 2 extra supers. Now, once turn 5 hits and they transform into the Super 17, he is now greatly raising attack and defense for 1 turn, causing immense damage and greatly lowering defense. On the passive, they are getting key 3, attack defense 170%, plus an additional attack 70% when performing a super attack. They get an additional damage reduction by 34% for 4 turns from the start of turn, plus an additional damage reduction of 17%. They launch an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack within the same turn after receiving an attack, plus an additional defense 17% with each attack received, up to 170%. Medium chance of performing a critical hit when there's a super class enemy, and absorbs Ki Blast super attacks directed at the character, and recovers 34% of the damage absorbed if HP is 70% or less from the start of turn. They foresee enemy super attack when HP is 34% or less. So if you actually manage to get to this phase, right, he's phenomenal, right? Once fully built up, this guy is tanking all major hits, right? I've had this guy tank a super from the Metal Cooler core for double digits. He tanks normals from Broly and absorbs the super. So all in all, he handles most of the big fights. The only fight I haven't really tested him in is the Sin Shenron stage, and that's just because I don't really have the team on my JP account to really test him out. But I'd imagine if him as a unit, if you could actually get him to that point in that fight, he would perform pretty well, given everything that's going on in his kit. Now, that said, they are really, well, I don't want to say really good. They're barely scratching into like the top 20. But that said, they are not the greatest unit, and they really released at a bad time, right? For JP, they released between the Anniversary and God Goku, so that made him just for a poor choice to summon for then. And now for us, they're releasing right before the Anniversary, and they just don't have enough pull about them to justify a summon. So I'm going to say the unit itself does not carry a summon, so that's one in the category of no summon. Moving on to our next consideration, the banner. The banner on JP included the Fizz, Gero, and Mew, the Tech Pan, her first return, the Tech Androids, AGL 17, Gogeta, and the Fizz, Goten, and Trunks. Now, the banner itself, at first glance, is looking kind of rough, like really rough. The only real big draw here is probably the Pan, being that this is her first return. Otherwise, everybody else on the banner is kind of old, not really that helpful for most players. I mean, unless you somehow manage to you decide to summon here and you pick up 17 and the AGL 17 here, then you might be cooking a little bit, but otherwise there isn't a big draw here. So I would say that the banner itself, even with the return of Pan, does not carry a summon. So we've got two in the category of no summon. Now, something that may sway your mind, right? If we follow trends from last year, right? Last year, this was the Ginyu banner, and Ginyu in the month of June had a multi-summon discount, 25, 30, and 45 stones, totaling in 110 stones with a guaranteed featured SSR in the third step. So, you know, people like to say that guaranteed featured SSR is a good thing and a must summon should you choose to do it. But as somebody who's run that guaranteed SSR step 2 years in a row now and gotten the worst possible choice from the banner on each one, I think on the Goten and Trunks banner, who were this banner the year before, I pulled Fat Boo on that, who I already had rainbowed at that point, and last year I pulled Namek Goku as my guaranteed featured SSR. So just throwing it out there that while it is a guaranteed featured SSR, you could end up pulling one of the features you don't really want and or need. So just keep that in mind. But people do appreciate guaranteed featured discounts, so it is there if that is a consideration for you. One other consideration to be made is we have had the data download, and thanks to the data download, we know that there will be tickets available for the banner. So if you're pay to play, low to play, definitely a consideration for you. So even with that though, I would still say steer clear of the banner. You know, maybe do your tickets and then dip. So we got two in the category for no summon. So the final consideration is what lies ahead. And I think you guys already see where this is going, but I do want to point out that we do have a lot coming ahead. First and foremost, we will have this banner coming up next. And if this banner, this will be like the last 2 weeks of June, and we'll probably have a discounted multi with, It'll either be a one summon discounted multi, like a 40 stone multi like they did with the Kaioken Goku banner right before Golden Week, or it might be another discounted step totaling 110, with the last one, instead of being a guaranteed feature, would be guaranteed 2 SSRs. Either way, yellow coin banners steer clear right before the anniversary, even though it is a big, this guy can put up some big numbers, but doesn't have a 200% team, and you should really be saving for this banner here, and this banner here. Remember, these are the biggest and best banners up until the worldwide download celebration this year. So, you know, it's going to include the likes of the GT Duo, the first return of the Gammas, the first return of the Super Saiyan Duo, the second return of the 7-year anniversary LRs, and then these guys who are getting an easy A, the 5-year LRs. There's some other guys that are worthy of the pickups in here, right? Namek Goku can still find some uses. Bootanks is alright if we can ever get that real 200% lead for Majin Power, and then AGL UI Goku still has his uses. So these are arguably some of the best units, right? The Z Duo actually kind of has the better banner outside of Gogeta, right? Because Vegito is kind of better. They're both the same, but I find that Gogeta is a little more fun to use. But this is the return of the Gamma 1, the LR Cooler, the LR God, so looking pretty good on both banners. If you're spending stones anywhere, it should be on these banners. Remember, these are going to be big banners on Global. They're going to have more than likely discounts for the first round, and then you're going to have your super ticket discounts, right, where you're getting 3 tickets for every multi, so that way you can do ticket multis as well. So this is going to be pretty big banner, and this is where you should be saving the bulk of your stones for. Following these banners, though, I did want to throw it out there. You do want to be conservative where you spend prior to these banners, because also remember the Part 2 LRs return the Bird Coup and the Metal Cooler, which is pretty much the only place you can pick them up until they return on Worldwide, if they return in Worldwide. It's also a good place to pick up the Golden Frieza, the Zamos if you missed out on them, or the Goku Piccolo. It's better summoning for them here than on, say, like a yellow coin banner, because the rates, it feels like the LR rates are just slightly, ever so slightly higher, so just something to consider. And that is pretty much it for what's coming up next, right? I guess we have Kale following this, but I mean, all we're really concerned about is what's coming up in the 8-year anniversary. So I'm gonna have to say, as you guys already expected, there's a no summon on this banner, and it's really weird because last year I gave Ginyu a tiered summon, meaning if you had over 1,000 stones, I said go ahead and do your 100 stones and dip for the discounts. But I can't even say that you should do that for these. The rest of their banner is just not that great. Ginyu at least has the advantage of having the possibility of you picking up his 2 banner units, which are very, very necessary for the team coming later. But this banner, not so much. I mean, Mew and Zero are good, but you can absolutely run 17 without them. It's not like they are a must-run on the team. So, honestly, this is going to be one of the few banners this year that I give a complete no-go for. I'm not even going to tier my summon. Only thing I'm going to say is that if you are a pay-to-play player, then go ahead, do your tickets, and save your stones. But for everyone else, steer clear of the banner. Hold tight, hold on to whatever stones you got, because the anniversary is just about 4 weeks away, so, or 5 weeks as of me recording this video. So anyways, guys, that is the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let me know, do you plan on summoning for STR Hellfighter 17 and Android 17, or are you going ahead and skipping this banner? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you are skipping, let me know what's your stone count. How many stones are you at as we lead into the 8-year anniversary in just a few weeks? Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.